Fallout New Vegas contains a plethora of interactable NPCs to really populate the Mojave Wasteland. From trading and selling, to taking quests and working for factions, to even having companions do your bidding. These NPCs serve as one of the game's main mechanics. But what if the game refused? What if all those characters hated your guts? Can you beat Fallout New Vegas when everyone is hostile? If the challenge is viewed literally, it is impossible for two reasons. First and foremost, Doc Mitchell being hostile would pretty much brick the game and stop the playthrough from ever getting off the ground. And secondly, faction leaders, including Yes Man being hostile, prevents the game from being completed, since there's no way to start the battle for Hoover Dam. With all of that in mind, I researched several ways to make this challenge possible, and decided to settle on the Nightmare Mode mod by Platinum Shadow on Nexus Mods. Within the mod, only a select few NPCs are friendly. Most of them are just so starting and finishing the DLCs as possible. Within the base game, Yes Man is friendly, so you can finish the game, and the Gunrunner is Vendertron. For the sake of the challenge, however, I won't be using the Vendertron as a shop. I would also like to state that I'm not playing on Vanilla New Vegas. I'm using Nightmare Mode in combination with the Viva New Vegas mod list, since I'm a bit lazy to get the game stable on my own. With all that out of the way, let's start the challenge. I awoke in Doc Mitchell's house, named myself after someone everyone loves, gave myself a fittingly lovely appearance, and got to assigning special points. I had to put some thought into my character build. Because everyone wants to kill me, let alone chat with me, charisma is even more useless than it already is, so it's at 1. 10 in strength and agility, because melee and unarmed are probably the safer choices since I won't be able to buy any ammo. 10 in endurance so I can handle the world's hatred of me, and dump the rest into intelligence for some extra skill points. I chose melee weapons, unarmed, and survival as my tag skills, and for traits, chose heavy-handed because my non-existent luck renders the less critical damage meaningless, and Wild Wasteland cause why not. The Nightmare Mode mod takes effect once I leave Doc Mitchell's house. My playthrough came off to a wonderful start when I was immediately executed by Victor, and was forced to flee Goodsprings, though I murdered some Manises to make me feel better. Now, not having access to almost every quest in the game is bad news. The best way to level up in New Vegas is by completing quests, which means I'm likely going to be at a lower level than I should be. Killing enemies and discovering locations are the only way to get experience, but being a low-level character means it's hard to kill enemies in the first place. After killing some geckos, I found Victor sinking into the back rooms. Nearby powder gangers blamed me for Victor's predicament and started shooting at me, causing me to flee like a little noob. I soon realized that drinking water is a reliable way to recover health, albeit it takes quite a while to heal up. Unfortunately, Victor was less than pleased with my theft of Goodsprings' water supply and proceeded to blow my head off. Afterwards, the game crashed. Thanks, AMD. Due to not having access to any doctors or merchants, I have to grab any piece of food I lay my eyes on. Even with investment into survival, most food items don't heal very much individually, forcing me to hoard food as if it was COVID all over again. I went to a cave and played with my food for a bit, and decided to get some rest before heading to Prim.
Next up, Boot Hill.
Victor had finally tracked me down so he can execute me for my grave crimes against humanity, such as drinking Goodsprings' water supply, though I eventually cut that short. By the time I reached Prim, I had come into possession of a few guns and a good amount of ammo, and I started wondering if having a melee/unarmed build was a good idea. Maybe I underestimated how much ammo enemies have. Regardless, I massacred the NCR squad, and for good measure, the citizens of Prim too. After killing a few convicts, I got the cannibal perk, which ended up being a total waste of a perk since it wouldn't work for some reason. Turned to Beagle into sushi, and while I mopped up the rest of the convicts, I acquired these brass knuckles, which seem to be absurdly powerful compared to everything else I currently have. After turning the Bison Steve Hotel into the site of a cyber psycho attack, I decided to destroy Goodsprings once and for all as vengeance for killing me when I started this playthrough, and as for some extra experience points. Afterwards, I reveled in my victory by drinking from the water Victor once killed me over. I decided to risk getting eaten by deathclaws on the main road to New Vegas and discovered Sloan before humanely euthanizing Snuffles. I got sidetracked and discovered Hidden Valley in order to acquire the power armor of a Dead Brotherhood squad there and to get extra experience points. For some reason, I could wear the power armor without requiring the power armor training perk. I wonder if that's because of a mod. Who knows? Also, seeing how tiny the power armor in New Vegas is makes me appreciate the Titans in the new West mod even more. Using the power armor and the password that the former Brotherhood, now Centaur feed had, I decided to try my luck at destroying the Brotherhood of Steel bunker. With my luck at 1, it's only natural that I die immediately. I decide to change strategies and to make a beeline for the super sledge. Once I nabbed it, I turned the Brotherhood into buy a few scrap metal, all the while cramming as much food into my mouth in order to grant myself the powers of Balder. It's at this point that I realized that this run isn't as hard as I expected. Once you get over the initial hurdle of being a low level due to not being able to complete the beginning quests at Goodsprings, your character starts gaining momentum as it gets easier to level up once you've killed quite a few people and steal their equipment. Murder makes you stronger, everyone. Undertale proved it after all. After drinking the Brotherhood's water as a final insult while nabbing a full suit of T-51 power armor, I continued on my journey to the Strip. Took a shortcut through Black Mountain and absolutely obliterated Neil, took advantage of Gabriel Jenk and avoided the death claws. As I was exploring Ripcon, I got interrupted by some Wi-Fi salesman at my door, and got absolutely lit up at the NCR sharecropper farms. I murdered Orion Marino and drank from his sink, and turned Mrs. Hossessler into a Guru Fetish's wet dream. Once I finally got to Freeside, I got into a small disagreement at Mick and Ralph's, and made the follower of the Apocalypse's name more literal than they were intending. Made a shocking discovery of Psycho being found in Julie Farkas's desk, proving that she was a fraud and deserved death. The children of Freeside, however, were not happy with my shenanigans, and they picked up the weapons of the many corpses lying about and started to attack me, which is just great since they're immortal. Thanks, EU, bunch of cowards. The children were even shooting at me while I was drinking some of Freeside's water, which sucks since they picked up some pretty strong guns. I crashed the party at the Atomic Wrangler and found all the food I could possibly eat for a New Vegas mukbang video. After making short work of both the Van Graffs and the Kings, I finally got to the Strip. Despite the large Securitron presence, I quickly dumpstered both them and everybody I could find on the Strip. I tried to kill Mr. House, but lacked the 75 signs to understand what the terminal said. I turned both Benny and the Tops into worm food, then talked to Yes Man in order to finally progress the game. I provided the White Gloves with all the human flesh they could possibly upcharge for, terms and conditions apply, and found my instrument of death. The dress cane that these white shoes carry is almost as effective as the super sledge I had earlier, and has a satisfying meat-splosion on almost every kill. The large volume of canes kindly provided means I can repair and wave around a few reliable weapons. I wasn't satisfied with my destruction of the White Mask bunch, so I took a quick detour to Camp McCarran and eviscerated every single soldier that was in reach of my cane. Afterwards, I returned to the Strip and continued my rampage at Gamora. The unhinged rampages I had gone on today had thoroughly degraded my power armor, so I decided to ditch it. This ended up completely backfiring on me, however, as a naked human body obviously does not weather gunfire well, especially shotgun blasts. To the head. I even tried to switch to the automatic riot shotgun, but the huge recoil rendered it mostly unusable, and got me turned into worm food pretty quickly. After I went back and put on the power armor and killed some more Omertas, the game crashed. Wonderful. I guess New Vegas was really not happy with the sheer amount of carnage I had caused, and rebelled by making my game repeatedly crash inside Gamora, preventing me from killing everyone else inside the casino. Shame. With my power armor in well-worn condition, I decided to return to Hidden Valley in order to get a new suit. I probably should have healed my mangled limbs first, because I got thoroughly wrecked. With my attempt to get new power armor in shambles, I returned to Lone Wolf Radio in order to get some well-deserved sleep. And guess what happened? I was awoken by an ambush once again, this time by Wasteland Vigilantes, but it didn't stop there. I was awoken by a Brotherhood squad, then the Kings, then the Omertas, then mercenaries, then the Van Graffs, and finally more mercenaries. Some of these meatbags were apparently sent to eliminate me for crimes that I certainly did not have anything to do with. Why would anyone want to kill Discord mod? It was at this point that I realized that these ambushes were the result of some mod within Viva New Vegas, but I'm a bit too lazy to find out which though. While making my way to Red Rock Canyon, I got into a scuffle with some legionary assassins and a small army of fiends. Once I made my way to the Great Khans, I graciously put an end to all of their suffering and struggling and made my way to the Boomers. Before I got to Nellis, I got sidetracked with making the Crimson Caravan more relevant to their name, and paid a visit to North Vegas Square, where I finally got my signs to 75. After that, I ran through the Boomers barrage, and ran into a problem. Because the Boomers won't take me to Pearl, the gate stays locked, meaning I can't get into the base. I tried to jump over the fence, but there's an invisible wall because that's New Vegas' thing apparently. After a few pitiful attempts to get the boomers themselves to open the gate, where they blew themselves up instead, I resorted to the good old quick save and quick load technique to glitch through the gate, which ended up working to perfection. My troubles didn't end there, however. The boomer guard that's supposed to talk to you is completely invincible, and Pearl wasn't in her house. After killing some more boomers and taking a quick nap, Pearl was finally in her home, and my axe in her neck. After killing some more boomers and Loyal, I made it to their cafeteria, and got to know what it was like to be a Mandalorian under the Galactic Empire. Once again, I stuffed myself with as much food and drink as possible to render myself immortal long enough to destroy what remained of the boomers. With my thirst for blood still not sated, I returned to the strip to finish off Mr. House once and for all. Here's a fun fact: because I have the quest that says to kill Mr. House, I don't need to hack the terminal to enter his chamber, making my 75 signs completely unnecessary. Thank you, New Vegas. After ensuring House won't appear in Fallout Season 2, I went back to Yes Man, informed him of my recent murders, and got him to replace Mr. House. Once I sat through Yes Man's demonstration, I decided to forego going to the fort to upgrade the Securitron army, as fighting 40 plus legionaries with what little supplies I have was out of the question, and it isn't necessary for Yes Man's ending. The Nightmare Mode mod caused a weird interaction where it made the Securitrons hostile, but because they were technically my Securitrons, they wouldn't attack me. Anyways, I let Kimball join the Kennedys, went to El Dorado substation to power New Vegas, and finally started the battle for Hoover Dam. I was forced to eat another billion snacks to combat the endgame enemies at Hoover Dam, but I managed to install Yes Man onto the Hoover Dam computer. Due to my laziness, the only way for victory was to destroy Hoover Dam's generators, which is exactly what I did. Once I started making my way to the Legate's camp, I salvaged a super sledge from several dead legionaries and saw my Securitron make quick work of the rest. Once I got to the Legion's camp, I fought the Legate, who was losing so badly that he resorted to fleeing and cowering in a corner, but he got a taste of me mallet anyways. I took his armor and sword as a trophy and used it to kill what remained of the Legion, and then confronted General Oliver. Negotiations were short. Yes Man congratulated me on my victory even though General Oliver was still alive behind him, but that didn't matter. I had beaten Fallout New Vegas when everyone was hostile.